Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is able to see me. Um, just slowly, it's my first time using StreamYard, so please bear with me if if I make a mistake or anything like that. But I'll give it a couple more minutes for people to join. How is everyone doing? Can you guys hear me? Uh, can somebody post a comment or something just to make sure that you guys can hear me and just to make sure I'm not just like talking to myself. Oh, hi, Till. How's it going? I hope this means that everyone is able to hear me and see me and hear me. So, um, yeah. And also, please bear with me. It's my first time. Well, it's not my first time going live, but I've gone live before, like on Facebook, but I'm using something called StreamYard, so bear with me. So I'll just give a quick introduction and then just kind of like start answering questions. So, hi everyone, my name's Jose Granados. I am a moderator of the Dreamers Together group. I'm a DACA recipient and I have done Advance Parole more times than I can count at this point. um, and I've experienced doing it for InfoPass and also like just mailing it out. Um, I'm currently in the process of applying again for a year with multiple entries. At least that's what I requested. Hoping that I can get that due to my dental treatment. So if anyone has questions about that, I'd be happy to answer that. Um, so I'll just go ahead and start answering the first one. So hi, Itzel. It says, I have a dismissal case in, oh wait, I can make the comment like show up. Okay. I have a dismissal case in 2016 for theft of service. Is it safe to apply for AP? Um, I would probably defer that question to someone in the group. I would think, and this is just speaking as like a personal opinion, if it's like dismissed, you should be fine, as long as, there's nothing else. But I will definitely ask in the group to see if maybe someone has been like in a similar situation who can provide more insight. But yeah, um, but yeah, no, don't be scared about like the process itself. It's not scary. Like, yeah, I've done this like more times than I can count. So I let's see, I think I'm like going on my trip number like 14 or 15th, I think. Yeah. Itzel is asking, do they stamp your passport and approval letter in Mexico or in the US? So they stamp it in the US. So um, once you go through customs, and let me actually show you. Let's see. I don't have um, my paper like on hand, but I can show you like a picture. But basically, once you enter, like they'll stamp your thing, and like if you have multiple entries, like they'll just keep stamping the same paper like over and over and over as many times as they need to, or as many times as you travel. Um, so yeah. Um, Passport, they also stamp it. It just kind of depends on the officer. Like sometimes they stamp both the approval letter and the passport. Sometimes they stamp one or the other. So it just kind of depends on the officer. My experience coming into Dallas, let's see. I mean, it's kind of been a mix of both, where it's like they stamp both the letter and the passport, but sometimes one or the other. As far as in Mexico, they don't stamp anything. I mean, the only thing is like when you enter the country, you like go through like their own set of customs. So they'll stamp your passport just to indicate that like, okay, fulanito, fulanita, like enter the country on this date. But I mean, that's pretty much it. At least that's how they do it in Morelia, Mexico, which is where I've gone. But yeah, anyone else? This smoothie is so good, you guys. I love smoothies. Um, well, let's see. Oh, Maria Castillo says, hi, I would like to apply for the first time, but I'm not sure if I should use my grandma or to use the city of my dad's grave, or should I use both? I would I would just do both. I think the more the merrier in this instance. So, uh, you want to visit your dad's grave, um, and you could add in your grandma that she needs a caretaker, or like you want to take care of her, attend to her medical needs, assess her needs. So I would, the more reasons the merrier, I think. And so I think with your grandma, you could really make the case that like, hey, like I want to take care of my grandma, but you know I want to take her to her doctor's appointments, and try to make the case for like multiple entries so they can give it to you. Just let them know like, hey, I need to continually monitor my grandma and assess what her needs are. Like I would like to request multiple entries, and then just have a shot at it. So yeah. Yeah, the more the merrier. Selvin says, hi, can I apply for two different countries in the same application? One to go visit a sick relative and the other country for dental. Yeah. So on the I-131, it tells you like to list all the countries. So, just put country A, followed by a comma, country B, country C, as long as you can justify why you want to, or like why you want to travel to that country, which, in your case, visit a sick relative, like, okay, provide like a note from the doctor. You want to visit your country for dental, then provide a note, from the dentist, indicating your treatment and everything. So yeah, that's definitely doable. I haven't done it myself because I mean, I have my family in Mexico, and I also see the dentist in Mexico. So, but yeah, you definitely can. Just make sure you understand um, the like what you need to have. So, for instance, like a sick relative, like make sure you have a, what do they call it? Constancia médica, like a doctor's note, basically, describing your relative's name, like their condition, to describe that you need to be able to see your relative, and having like a birth certificate to like um, to describe the connection, like the familiar connection. And then for dental, have a letter from the dentist indicating like, hey, like Selvin is my patient. This is his estimate. This is what he needs to get done, and dot dot dot. So yeah. All right. Nympha, sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. Uh, can you share more about the airport experience? What airline did you use? How long did you stay? How much money did you need for the whole trip stay? Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, leaving, like, departing, like, the country, it's very straightforward. Um, so typically for me, I have like a late like I live in Austin, so it's like a super tiny airport. Like they don't really have like that many direct flights to like practically anywhere. So I have to do like a layover in Dallas to then take me to Mexico. So departing, you know, it kind of is just like going like domestically. I mean, you need your passport, of course, but I mean, you go through TSA. If you're going to like your home country, like for me, when I go to Mexico, it lets me check in online. Not definitely not when coming back. I'll talk about that in a sec. Um, and then when you're about to board the actual flight that's taking you to that country, um, not a layover or anything like that. They'll want to verify like your passport and everything. So have that handy. Coming back, um, basically you show up to like the airline desk and let them know that you want to check in because you can't check in using AP for your flight. And you let the airline representative, you show them your AP. Some of them will know what it is, some of them will not. So just kind of like tell them, "Oh, I'm traveling with an I-512L." Sometimes if you actually say like the name of the actual document, like that kind of like turns on a light bulb. um, and sometimes they might need to call like a supervisor or like call CBP directly, and like don't get scared because that's like completely normal. Like that's normal. Some people just don't see advanced parole very often. Um, and typically once they verify that, um, they'll check you in, they'll give you your boarding pass, and you go through security and stuff, and then you board your flight, um, scan your boarding pass, get on the plane, and then you don't show your AP again until you land in the US and you go through customs and you encounter primary inspection, which is like your first interaction with the CBP officer. You show them your paper, they'll like probably take a picture, um, and your fingerprints, and then they take you to the cuartito. And yeah, as far as airlines, I use American, but I mean, really, whatever takes you to your ranchito, like that's the best airline to use. If it's American, great. If it's like Delta, United, or like Viva Aerobus, Polaris, you know, definitely use Google Flights to weigh your options as far as like tickets and things like that. Um, how long did I stay? It depends. So in previous times, when I'm able to, I would stay for about a month. My family lives in Mexico, so I like to maximize the trip. So I'm currently have braces. So going through my own orthodontics treatment means that you have to make multiple visits, and so it's supposed to be once a month. So what I do is I'll stay like for a month when possible. Sometimes it's not always the case. Sometimes I stay for like a couple of days and then come back. But if it's like for a month, I land and see the orthodontist the next day, and then I see them again like a month later prior to like my return, just to make sure to let's say like knock two birds with one stone, um, and make sure that they change the dental, like the arch and the wire and like the rubber bands and everything. So yeah, how much money do I need for the whole trip stay? That also kind of depends. Obviously I need money for to pay the dentist, but you can do several things to try to save up. Like for instance, like I just stay with my family, and you know I'm like very frugal, so I like to also like do that. Like I don't really like buy souvenirs or anything like that. So it just depends. um if anyone can chime in like in the comments of like how much money like you took for your trip, you might get a better sense of it. Yeah. Karen Velasquez is asking, what's a good dentist in Mexico or TJ? Um, I can't recommend any, and that kind of has to be more of like, um, you have to make that step for yourself of like reaching out and be a self advocate. That's like the most important thing, to advocate for yourself. Go to wherever you want to go. Get on Google Maps, type dentist, and then just make a list of phone numbers, and then just call each phone number one by one until a dentist can get you a cost estimate with your name on it, and when your appointment will be. um, you know some dentists will kind of like not want to, some will. You just have to do the work and be a self advocate for yourself. And that's what I mean, that's what I did, so that's what I would encourage y'all to do as far as like looking for dentists. Let's see. Jose Peralta is asking, have you had any bad experience with CBP with they trying to keep your AP? No. So every time I come back, I do it through Dallas. Dallas is like I think it's like the second world's busiest airport. It's a massive airport, y'all. Like it's huge. There's like eight, no, there's like six terminals, I think. But like it's a huge airport. So it's like, they get people from all around the world. All kinds of destinations. So the CBP officers there are very experienced with AP. So, whenever I give it to them and, they take me to secondary and they stamp it, they always give me back like both copies. I know that's not going to be the same case for every airport. So that's another instance where, if you have a single entry, um, as long as they like keep or like stamp your passport, I think it's fine. But yeah, if they try to do something like that, you have to be stern and let them know, like, hey, I need both. Like, if you have a multiple entries document. So yeah. Carlos Clemente, hey Jose, where are you located? I am in Austin, Texas. Um, Best state out there. Just kidding. Yeah, I've grew up here, so I consider this home for me. Let's see. Um, Carolina Ibarra, it depends if you're driving, if you need to get a permit for the car. Oh yeah, yeah. Talking about like, how much you need to spend. Uh, Ninfa Amador is asking, I'm also interested in doing dental. What was your process for getting the cost estimate for the procedure in the US? So I talked a little bit about this in terms of like, find a place that where you want to go to, and just type the word dentist on Google Maps, and then just make a list, phone numbers, names, and then just call one until you get what you need, which is that cost estimate. Um, with your name on it, what you need to have performed and the cost and everything, obviously. Let's see. Lorena Velasquez, what documents did you need to provide? Sorry if you already answered. No, it's okay. So I recently, so y'all might have seen my post on Monday. So I recently applied again, and my tracking says that like my package is already like delivered to like Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm waiting to get that case number. But basically, if you guys look at the guides, like the suggestions to have like for the cover letter, I mean, it's pretty much everything that's on there. So I would send like a copy of my DACA, the actual like EAD, my passport, um, obviously the I-131. That's like the most important thing. Um, and let's see, the G1145, I think, to like get a text once like literally anything happens with your case. The other one, I sent like the G. It's another one that starts with a G, um, but it's like to pay with a credit card. Um, and yeah, so I mean, if you look at the guides, they pretty much have everything that you need to include. Um, let's see. Overall, I spent a good 2 to 3 weeks with you. Yeah, so if you take like, your kids and things like that, it's gonna depend. So, best advice is to, save up. Yeah. Um, hold on, y'all. Let me take a sip of this smoothie. Mm, okay. Let's see. Itzel Sosa says, do you need to bring copies or um I'm gonna assume you meant original. Like when traveling or when sending out your packet. When sending out your packet, copies of everything. You never want to send anything original, like ever to USCIS. It'll end up under some file cabinet in Nebraska. You'll never see it again. Like, don't do it. Um, as far as like traveling, obviously you want to take your AP, your DACA. I think there's a post on the group of like what to take. So, you look at the guides, but it helps to bring a copy of your AP just in case, like God forbid, like anything happens. Yeah. Um, let's see. Cynthia Valencia is asking, when traveling with AP, how do you handle layovers at airports? You have to recheck with immigration. Thank you for your time. Oh no, it's okay. Um, so layovers and coming back. So this is a good question. So as I mentioned, I always have a layover from Dallas and then Austin. Normally, I try to have like a 2 to 3 hour gap just to make sure I don't miss a flight or anything. Because it has happened with me. One time my smart self really thought I could do a 1.5 hour layover. I was like, you know what? Like it's a Tuesday, it's probably really slow. No, there was like a long ass line. I didn't make it, spoiler alert. So I had to like go to the American desk and have American rebook me on the next flight. So, definitely have some time for the layover. And then once you're paroled at the connecting airport, you know, that's it. Like you're like already like officially in the US. So when like boarding my flight to Austin, it's as if I'm boarding like any other domestic flight. So it's okay. Yeah. Um, Carlos Clemente says, this is my second time. Oh wait, hold on. Isn't that cool, y'all? How you can like bring up like the comment like right here. Like that is so cool. Like I can't, y'all. Sorry. It's my first time using StreamYard. Okay. Carlos says, this is my second time doing AP. I'm actually in Guadalajara right now, coming back to Sunday, been here since February 10th. Oh, that's awesome. Hope you've been having fun. Uh, like I said, this is my second time doing AP. I may apply again. How many times have you done AP? No, it's all good. Um, I'm going, I really have to count, like my 13th or 14th. I think it's my 14th trip. But yeah, I showed earlier a picture with all my different like things, like stamps, like y'all, like there's literally nothing but blue ink everywhere. Like I have so many that it's like they run out of room, so it's like they have to like stamp like over like existing stamps because like there's just nowhere else to put them. But yeah, definitely when you apply again, try to go for multiple entries. And yeah, it's my 13th or 14th time traveling. Um, I think I've submitted like 6 I-131s, some by mail, some by InfoPass. So yeah, 14th time, tell me the timeline. Yeah, so I've been doing AP since 2020 or 2021. So like I mentioned, like I'm doing braces and I was approved for a year with multiple entries. And um, that was in July of 2021. And I, got a bunch of things taken care of. Like my wisdom teeth got taken out. I started the orthodontics treatment. Um, I have to see a periodontist at one point soon because like my gums, or lack thereof, like I literally have no gums, y'all. Like also just short PSA, like please watch out for your dental health. Like it's really important. Um, but yeah, so from then I got a year. That year was up in July, but I applied again last year around January. I heard back in April. They approved me for another year. And that's the AP that I have right now, my second year. And then on Monday, I mailed out my application to apply for a third year with multiple entries. Like I'm hoping everything goes well. But it's all for continuing my dental treatment. Obviously this thing is still like in my mouth. So, I still have my orthodontics treatment ongoing. So uh, the way I've done it is, included an estimate from the US. But one thing that I do is every time that I go to the dentist, I always ask the dentist for a note. Sometimes they write it down. From time to time, I ask for something called a constancia medica, which is more like on letterhead, like a more official looking document, just documenting your progress. And then I translate that myself, and I do that over and over just to kind of show that like, hey, like I've been like going to my appointments I stated I would do, and like I've been making continued progress, but I'm still not done. So yeah. Lorena's asking, what kind of questions have you been asked from CVP? Honestly, not that many. Like I mentioned, I like coming into Dallas because Dallas is like a massive airport. Like they're very familiar with AP. Um, Pretty much any questions have been asked to me at the primary inspection. So that's like before they take you to the cuartito. In the cuartito itself, nothing. I mean, sometimes they'll like ask me like just mundane things like, oh, the weather, or yeah, like stuff that has nothing to do with like anything, just to like make plática, I guess, make conversation with you while they give you the stand. Pretty much, you just sit down in secondary and they'll call your name. Sometimes they'll just give you the thing stamped and then off you go. Sometimes they're like in the process of it and they stamp it and they'll hand it over to you. Um, in primary, I mean, they ask you like second, like just standard questions that like really they ask to anybody, not just like AP, but just anybody like entering the country. So sometimes like I've had questions like, obviously like where you're coming from, how many days were you out? Um, do you have any like live animals? Like no. um like any like food that I'm bringing, just like standard comes custom stuff. But yeah, yeah, they're pretty chill. um Erika is asking, ¿y qué te preguntaban en el cuartito? La verdad, casi no me pregunta nada. El proceso de ir al cuartito es cuando estás en la etapa de que ya les hiciste tu papel de Advance Parole y tu pasaporte y solamente estás en proceso de que te pongan el sello en tu documento. Entonces, lo que hace uno, pues te mandan al cuartito y nomás esperas a que te lo den. Típicamente anuncian tu nombre en un micrófono, vas y colectas tu documento y pues abren la puerta automáticamente y pues ya, es todo. En realidad, como dije ahorita, la mayoría de las preguntas me lo hacen en el primer encuentro con los agentes de migración, pero son preguntas estándares que se las hacen a cualquier persona que está entrando al país. Independientemente del Advance Parole, te preguntan así como cuántos días estuviste afuera, de qué país vienes, traes algún animal contigo, traes comida, semillas, cosas así. Pero no, no basta más de eso, en mi experiencia. Anyone else? Any questions? I'm happy to answer them. If you ask me in English, I'll reply in English. If you ask me in Spanish, I'll reply in Spanish. That's usually my rule of thumb. But yeah, I think answering these questions, like some of these questions, I've kind of like talked a little bit about my experience. But yeah, I've done AP a lot. um, but yeah, um, and I've renewed my DACA just fine too. The only thing with, I guess the only downside, if I can even call it that, is that when you renew your DACA, you have to let USCIS know of all like your trips since your last approved renewal. So when I renew my previous DACA, I had to let them know about my 10 trips, like literally. Even trips that lasted like a few days, like you still have to like mention it because it asks you in the renewal application. So it's kind of a pain because you kind of have to like make sure you get the date and everything correct, and like I run out of space, so I have to like list it like at the end of the application, like how they'll give you a bunch of like fields to like add extra info. But that's the only like I guess downside, that you have to like list everything when you renew your DACA. But I mean, I've renewed it just fine. Like the fact that you travel, a shit ton with sorry, excuse my language. The fact that you travel a lot with AP doesn't like doesn't have to do with like your DACA or anything. You can still keep renewing just fine. Ah, Erika Zaragoza, ¿cuántas veces has salido con AP? Creo ya llevo 13 o 14 viajes desde el 2021, porque fui aprobado por entradas múltiples y es ahí cuando hago mis viajes para mi tratamiento de ortodoncia. Teophilos asking, sorry, but what is AP? AP stands for Advance Parole. It's what allows you to, as a DACA recipient, to leave the country and to be able to come back just fine. You have to apply for it. It's a form called I-131, which stands for Application for Travel Document. And as a DACA recipient, you need to have like one of three, like your reason to go has to fit under three categories: humanitarian, educational, or work related. And you just, apply. It's 575. Yeah. And, you just wait a couple months to hear back. We have a lot of awesome guides in the group that people have, spent a lot of time working on and contributing on, myself included. We also have shout out to our amazing translation team. If you need to have any document translated, especially if it's like a document in Spanish or any other language, hit us up. We have a whole amazing team for that. Daniela Davila is asking, can we travel through CBX? My husband's passport is expired. I've definitely heard of people coming back on AP through CBX. Now, what do you mean so is your husband a US citizen or a Mexican citizen? I mean, either way, you should have a valid passport to travel. So I would probably look into getting that renewed as soon as possible. If the need to travel is also as soon as possible. Lorena Velasquez is asking, what dental paperwork did you send? X-rays? Um, yeah, so I sent, okay, so let's say for wisdom teeth, I sent, the cost estimate breakdown for both the US and whatever country you want to go to. For me, it's Mexico. Anything that's in a foreign language has to be translated. It also has to have in the document your name, a statement from the dentist saying that, this is my patient. He needs these treatments to be taken care of. This is the cost. If applicable, this is when I would like to see my patient to like, set up a future appointment date. um, X-rays as well to show for wisdom teeth, to show where the tooth is. Um, and it also helps to like for studies. For example, my wisdom tooth, one of them was like crooked, like tilted. So I had to get an X-ray taken just to make sure like what degree it was tilted. And in the end, it was like kind of a difficult extraction because they had to, they can just like yank it out. They actually have to cut up the tooth itself into smaller individual pieces and then take it out like one by one. It was terrible, y'all. Yeah. Um, you can also attach like pictures, like for example, if you have like a receding gum line or swollen gums or anything having to do with that, you can show, take pictures, to show the officers like, hey, like, this is a real issue, it's really affecting me. um Talked about the documents, x-rays, photos. I think that covers everything, I think. Yeah. Jose Peralta, an issue check-in at the airport in Mexico when the CDAP has been stamped already. Uh, Pertaining to multiple entries, um, I think like one time, but I mean, usually, we read things from top to bottom. So when you read the document, they can see the word multiple. And I mean, like even in Spanish, multiples entradas. So it's like, I feel like it's easy for them to understand. And then you can also point to the date that's like obviously like in the future, if you stay within your authorized travel period and let them know like, hey, I'm still within my travel period. This thing says multiple, and they won't trip. Mm. Erika Zaragoza, si tengo un petit theft, ¿tendré algún problema para ingresar al país? Apliqué para AP. Yo pienso que no, pero solo estoy hablando en mi capacidad personal, en mi propia opinión. Yo te recomendaría consultar con el grupo para ver si hay alguien en el grupo que ha tenido una experiencia similar a la tuya y ver cómo les fue. Yo pienso que si es un caso ya sellado, no debería de haber ningún problema, pero solo estoy hablando en mi capacidad personal. Um, Daniela Davila is asking, my great grandma is 94 years old. She's losing her hearing. I lost my grandma, her daughter, in 2021 and would like to go visit her grave. Can I apply for AP? Yes, with an asterisk. So as far as I know, you can apply to visit a grave, but the death must have occurred like within 2 years. I think anything after 2 years, USCIS doesn't consider that recent. I know it's really stupid. I think it's dumb, but I mean that's just kind of how they see it. And if it's past that, they don't consider it like a valid reason. You'll probably get sent like an RFE or something. I would definitely encourage you to, talk about your grandma, get any doctor's letter, any documentation about her hearing, and apply to take care of your ill great grandma. And make sure if you can have some kind of like part of applying to visit a relative is establishing the family connection. So I would, try to get birth certificates to, show that connection. Even for like, your grandma's birth certificate, it'll show like the parent's name, which is your great grandma. So yeah. María Castillo is asking, disculpa, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre InfoPass y AP? Bueno, las dos son las dos son las misma cosa. Y bueno, déjeme explicarle. InfoPass es cuando se le presenta alguna emergencia, ya sea una emergencia familiar o una emergencia en la que el aplicante tenga necesita alguna operación, algo así. Se tiene que llamar uno a USCIS y apartar una cita. Y en esa cita vas a ir a una oficina de migración y básicamente presentas tu caso, traes todos tus documentos como si estuvieras aplicando por correo y es ahí donde te dan una decisión ahí mismo en ese día. Puede que te lo acepten y ya a partir de ese día puedes salir y viajar y si no, pues lo tienes que enviar por correo. La segunda cosa, am, ah, AP, pues es lo mismo, solamente que uno lo está enviando por correo. Y es ahí donde te tienes que esperar típicamente de 3 a 4 meses. A eso es ahorita la espera. Es lo que he visto yo. Y pues sí, esas son la diferencia entre las dos cosas. Um, Carlos Garcia, can I request AP to take my kids to see their grandpa's grave? Um, mm, I think you can. Um, Personally, I don't have any kids. I'd love to have kids someday. Um, you know, the kids obviously can go by themselves. So, I'm pretty sure that could be a valid reason. And I think I've seen like people like in the group have gone to like, have their kids visit like a family member. Um, uh, I will try to like search like kids and family and then see what you find. But I'm pretty sure like that's been done before, and I think that's a valid reason. Yeah, they are minors though. Yeah, I mean that's even better because I mean they're minors. Like who's gonna take care of them while they're abroad? And as a parent, that's the most logical thing. Um, Anaí Duran, I want to apply, but I'm scared. Oh, like it's okay. Like, I mean, I don't know. I get scared of being left on red by my crush, but I still do it. So, just just do it. As long as you have a valid reason and you know, like, have all the documentation set in order and you mail it out, you'll be fine. Worst comes to worst, you if you get a request for evidence, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, there's nothing to be scared of. I have not seen anyone with AP being denied entry. So as long as you go within the time that they gave you and everything, you'll be fine, and you don't commit any crimes or anything like that. Anaí Durán, ¿cuánto cuesta todo? Am, la aplicación cuesta $575. Ese es el costo de la aplicación. Yo creo que alguien para viajar debería de tener en cuenta el costo de los viajes, de cómo le gustaría ir a uno, si es por avión o por carro o por autobús, este, cuánto dinero piensa uno que pueda gastar, eso también dependiendo de cuántos días o cuánto tiempo va a estar uno fuera del país. Así que puede variar. Si, por ejemplo, quieres ir por un mes, te recomiendo que consultes con el grupo para ver si alguien ha viajado por un mes y ver más o menos como cuánto se gastaron. Oscar is asking, I'm flying out of Mexico this Friday with AP for the first time. I'm telling everyone I know with that country the same, even refer them to this group, and you're just scared. I don't know how to convince them. I think, you know, the more of us that, apply and travel, I think it's kind of like what's that word? Like cause and effect or like a snowball effect. It's like the more people see others like traveling, the more that they see like, oh, it's not just a thing on like social media. Like, people are actually traveling and like doing all these things. And like that can kind of like, helps take away the fear. And I feel like the more people see stories of us traveling and stuff, como que se les quita el miedo, seeing that, we're able to travel and come back just fine. So yeah, I mean, and like the sometimes it takes a lot of courage to, just apply because like I was one of those people myself. Like I started traveling with AP in 2016. That's like 7 years ago. No. Yeah, 7 years ago, I started traveling with AP for the first time. And even then, like I was like I remember like coming back. That was the one and only time I came back by land. I came back to Laredo and like I was like shitting my pants. Like I was so scared. Like thinking all these things. Like, oh, what if they don't let me in? Like thinking, like, oh, like I have a coyote on speed dial, so no me dejan entrar. Like it was just like bad. So I've been there before. Like I used to be super scared. So I mean, I think we all get, and I think we all get scared, and that's a natural reaction. But it just takes a lot of like research just to see people. You can go and come back and get over the fear. Um, After being approved for AP, what will happen if for whatever reason the officer agent does not want to let you back in to the US? Is there a solution to that? So they have to have something called, so when you're at a port of entry, um, the process for not being not being led into the US is called being found M-AP-visible. And there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of things for why an officer might not want to let someone into the US. Pertaining to us, if your document expires on March 1st and you come back on March 5th, that's after your document expires. If you killed someone while you were abroad and like you're wanted or something, in the country, that's another reason. Um, an officer can't just deny you entry just because they don't like your hair or your eye color, or just because they don't like you. Like they can't do that. They need to have an exact documented reason to find you invisible. And you know, they just can't just deny you just like that. Let's see. Jose Aguilar is asking, every time you reapply for AP, do you use dental? Yeah. The first time I used Phillies and Crown. For second, I use brackets and stick relative. For third AP, can I do wisdom teeth removal, or will USCIS question why didn't get wisdom teeth removed the two previous times? How soon can I send the application? No, it's not an issue because I mean, like, it's like USCIS can't read our minds. Like, maybe the first two trips you didn't have any pain, and now you do have pain, and now, or maybe the past two trips, the dentist told you, you don't need to get them removed, but like, now it's causing you pain, and now you do. Like, there's a lot of like different variables. There's a lot of different situations. Anything can happen. So, that's not that's not up to USCIS to decide. What is up for them to decide is to decide whether you have a valid reason to travel out of the country. Um, whether you need your wisdom teeth taken out or not is based out of your own determination. And if you feel like it's better for you to get it taken care of outside the country, whether it's for cost or anything, you know, that's up to you to decide, not USCIS. Their job is to just look at your, evidence and everything, and you know, they can't question things like that. Like, oh, we're like, no, like they are not going to send you a request for evidence saying, oh, we see you travel for dental the previous two times. Why didn't you get your wisdom? Like, no, no, yeah. And then how soon? Because okay, think about it like this. Like with me, like I've traveled for wisdom teeth and I travel for brackets. Who knows? Maybe they could have said, well, you want to apply for braces the second time. Why don't you get braces taken care of the first time? It's like you don't know, you know. Um, but how soon can I send the application? November 22nd. You could send it out like today. Just get everything. As soon as you come back, you can like send it out. One time I came back from Mexico, I applied again in like 2 weeks. So it's like, as soon as you come back, you can, keep applying. Um, I'm starting to get hungry, y'all, and I kind of want to get some dinner. So I can answer two more questions, and then I'll call it a night. It's also like getting dark. So yeah. But yeah, I can answer two more questions. Anything you want to ask me or anything, I'm all ears. Anything, nothing, going once, going twice, going three times. All right. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Okay, one more. Two more. Okay, two more. Yeah. Our AP fees going up. Is there a date? Um, Not to my knowledge. I know there's like a proposal to increase like the fee for AOS and a bunch of other things, but nothing's been like announced or official or anything yet. So yeah, no. Right now it's still 575. And then what part of the day is best to arrive at Dallas Airport when there is few people at CBP? Honestly, I mm, I can't really answer this because I've come in like from all the times I've gone, like I've come in different days. I've come in like on a weekend, I've come in like on a Monday, on a Tuesday. I think one time I came back on a Thursday, I think. Like it just, you know, and every single time there's like a line. So, you know, maybe it's better in the morning. I always come in like in the afternoon because that's just the nature of the flight. It arrives like around 4 or 5 p.m. But it's always been like on different dates. There's always a line. Your luck might be different. If you have a flight that can bring you in the morning, you might have better luck. But as far as like me, like in the evenings, it's always there's always a line. So yeah. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to answer, all your questions. If you have any further questions, feel free to make a post in the group. We're here for each other. Like the saying goes, we all we got. Let's keep going outside, y'all. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next time. Bye.